MotoGP just launched in its newest iteration, MotoGP 21, and with it came a lot of changes. And if you don't want to fall off your bike and run across the track, we have got you covered. Hi, I'm AndrewZH, MotoGP eSport World Champion, and I'm going to help you get into MotoGP 21 and improve your skills. When you start MotoGP 21 for the first time, you probably want to jump straight into the career mode or even online races. But hold your horses, if you aren't experienced in the MotoGP games beforehand, you won't be having a lot of fun. Instead, start with the part most of us love to skip, the tutorial. And yes, I know, nothing is more boring than the tutorial in a new game. But trust me when I tell you it is worth investing this extra bit of time because it will pay off later. The tutorials themselves are actually quite fun. The various missions will teach you about a different aspect of the game. Even if you have already played its predecessor, MotoGP 20, they are still worth a look as they even explain some new features such as the long lap penalty. And if you look into the advanced tutorials, you even get detailed explanations for each assist. So basically you are now on the same level as I am. Obviously, I'm just joking. There are still a few tips and tricks and can I share with you to support you on your MotoGP journey. Now onto the assists. The tutorial covered them already, but I still have some recommendations. You should immediately start with manual shifting. Even though it is definitely far more challenging in the beginning, you will get used to it quickly. In doing so, you also avoid developing bad habits, so you start off learning to race properly without adding an extra step later of adapting to riding while shifting. Every other assist is even easier for you. Just leave them completely turned on at the beginning and then turn them off one by one. So you always have something new to master and a new goal to keep you occupied for quite a while. Let's move on to the new additions to this year's title. Firstly, you are now able to retrieve your bike after a crash. Especially for beginners, this can be more a hindrance than anything else. If you have to pick up your bike every few meters, you definitely won't be having a lot of fun. Luckily, you can also turn this feature off. A more subtle change on the trend is something you won't see, but definitely will feel. New physics are in the game, which means that you have to be even more careful while braking. Otherwise, you will lose stoppages like there is no tomorrow. You have to use the brake really smoothly to prevent this. With the addition of Portimao, the number of tracks has increased, and you probably just want to test it out. But unfortunately, I have to advise you against starting off on this new track as Portimao is one of the most difficult ones in the game. Instead, why not start on Qatar or Catalonia? These tracks offer a good variety of everything the game has to offer and are still easily doable for a beginner. At the beginning of your time with MotoGP, you will have your hands full just staying on your bike and getting through corners without crashing or leaving the track. So, a difficult circuit isn't the right fit for you in the beginning. I'd recommend leaving the racing line enabled for the first few laps on each new track. Then gradually turn it off, as you often get too focused on it and thus never really learn the layout. Instead, you just follow the line. It's better to take the line as suggestion and look for points you can use on the track as marker for your braking points. The most important things are to get a basic understanding of the braking points and a good racing line. As soon as you manage to get a good grasp on those, you can move on to more difficult track or even straight to Portimao. But not everyone wants to start by learning one track and getting you this way. For those who want a bit more action, I recommend starting in the career mode. You can focus on the basics of just one track, but it definitely is a lot more fun this way, and even the best training method won't bring you far if you lose motivation halfway through. This only leaves the question of your starting class. So which should you choose, Moto3, Moto2 or go straight for MotoGP? I would love to give you a clear-cut answer, but I can't. Moto3 definitely is lower and thus you will have more time to take the corners the way you want and work on your racing line. The downside for you is that this class isn't as forgiving as the MotoGP class. You will feel every mistake you make even harder. So the final choice is up to you. Feel free to experiment and choose the class you feel will bring you the most benefits or just feels right. The last thing we need to talk about is the right setup for your bike. This becomes more important further down the line when you are getting even deeper into the game and have mastered the basics. If you want to know more about the right setup and see what to watch out for, keep your eyes open for our upcoming setup guide. If you follow all my tips, you will have a great start to MotoGP and will make fast progress. And if you keep at it, maybe I will see you at the next MotoGP Esports World Championship. Also, if you like this content and you just can't wait for new MotoGP content, check our MotoGP 21 review. For more esports racing content in general, visit overtake.gg or our YouTube and other social channels.